Hi everyone! Today we're going to paint the eagle. So pretty. So we're going to attempt to do a 3D painting, which means dark, medium, light of every color. So we want to sometimes mix a brighter color and sometimes a darker colors to bring down the color. So we're going to do it step by step together. And in this painting, texture is important. We want a smooth beak, and I'll show you that. And then we want little flicks to get the texture of feathers. So we're not just scribbling up and down that make a bunch of Z's or a little W's, right? So we go flick, 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 like that. Okay, so we're going to do it step by step together, no worries. And this video will go faster than I would normally do it if we were in person because you're not here. So I can't tell how fast I'm going by watching the group. So if you need to pause, boop, push pause. If you're doing this on your laptop, you could put a little saran wrap or something over the space bar so your hands will get a little bit of paint on them. So we're going to do, this is what our drawing looks like. So this is called line, right? This is just the line of a drawing, and I just use a stencil. But we're going to worry about painting, but we're going to add dark, medium, light. Okay, so we're gonna, you want to get 3 paintbrushes, and they're all rounds, right? And which means that if you push on them, whoop, they are round at the top. And then, and the big one will be for making this big feather business right here, and it'll fill it in faster, right? We won't be here all day. And then a medium-sized one. And mostly we use it with the side of the paintbrush to try to get that smooth texture, almost horizontal to the laying against the canvas. And then a itty one for like eyes and the little line right here along the mouth. That's all it's for. A little tiny. You can still use the medium one. You just pinch it like this, pinch, and then it will get really, really sharp on the end. And you just have, oops, you have to do it really, really, really soft, so you don't open the paintbrush and make a bigger line. Okay, so we have our colors, and our first color is going to be a gray color, white, and a black. And you don't need very much of either one because we're going to do around his eye first. Okay, so we're going to get our, we're going to get a little bit of white paint first. And we'll use just our medium-sized paintbrush. There's paint on it and I had to get it off. So we're going to go around his eye, but the outside edge of this line right here is just telling you whereabouts it goes. But our texture is going to be little like flicks, like dashes, like the dash in the phone number, a small little flick. And the magic usually happens when you start to run out of paint and the texture becomes dry like chalk, and then you get a lighter version of the color, because you have less paint in your paintbrush. So running out of paint is one of the tricks of painting. Okay, so let's just do near his eye, and we'll go all the way around and near the eye. And if you get some on the eye, we fix it, don't worry. So we're going to go poke and get a glob of paint. And don't worry about how much paint you get. As soon as you need more paint, you get another poke. So we're going to just outline near our beak. But just to outline with paint, you smash your paintbrush and it goes boop, right? You open your paintbrush and then you choose one little hair on the edge of the paintbrush that you just push your paint and makes a little line. So I just go smash and sneak up and let one hair. And I I ran out of paint. Look how dry that got. Flip over your paintbrush. There's paint on the other side. You move. There. But that's a straight, smooth line and not quite feathers, right? So we're going to change that. Even though the paint's on that, the texture doesn't look like feathers. So let's go back over that and just like land right on the paint we already put and give it a flick. And all the brush strokes go horizontally. See? It's like we're going the direction the feathers would go, even on the top of the head. Then all of a sudden we turn the corner and start going down, but dash, dash, dash. So we're just going to change this into the texture of feathers and push, 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 flick, 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 flick. that. And you see that, and I just pick up my paintbrush at the last second. It's like push, push, push. And at first, you're like, what is she talking about? Then you start doing it, and then it will become natural and become very easy. I'm just pushing away like this. Flick, flick, flick. Okay, now let's finish the eye. And look, I'm going to go along the edge. But it's feathers. So just make it all rough. Dash, 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 dash. Smushy, smushy, smushy. And then wherever you land, after you get paint will be the thickest, and then as you keep going you kind of run out of paint, right? You just go flick, 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 flick. And then does the edge have to be all smooth? No, it does not have to be smooth. It's feathers. Okay, now we're going to get more white paint and go dash, 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 and then get near close to the eye without her. Don't even worry about the eye. Because we're gonna paint this twice. First we paint it white, like to block out the black. Then we put gray on it because pure white is not 3D, right? So we need to darken it a little to go in the depths. But what if when I put the gray on there, I have little dark pieces of gray, which is probably where I landed first, thick, and then lighter gray that mixes with the dark gray. Then it mixes with white and becomes like a soft gray. And then there's even pieces of white that live 3D, right? So now let's get our gray paint, and you do not need very much. You can even just mix a little black and white together and get gray, right? Just gray. So and all paintbrush is dirty. We're gonna mix white and gray together, so no worries. So we just stab your gray paint and get a blobule. So where I land first will be very gray, but then I keep turning my paintbrush over and I'm just going to drop it off. Just go blah, 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 drop it off like that. Oh, look, I ran out of paint. So where I first land is a big thick blob of paint, and then I let it run out. But I'm not leaving it like that. Now, don't get any more paint with your paintbrush, but pick up this gray, pick it up and drop it off, and pick it up and drop it off, and pick it up and drop it off, and scratch, 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 scratch. And you're scratching gray in your white paint and trying to get little scratches. And if you got a thick blob, leave it, because a thick blob of gray will be really dark right there because it'll flatten when it dries, but leave a nice little lump of gray pigment and make it darker right there. So I don't have to go back and make the thing smooth. Its texture helps me create the illusion of 3D, right? I just pick it up and drop it off. And you need another piece of gray, you can get it. Uh-oh, I got some on his beak and I got some on his eye. We fix all that. I'm going to get closer to his eye right there. There. And then look, I started to run it. It's got little bumps, right? And I don't care. Wish you could see it, but got little lumps and bumps, and I don't have to go back and fix nothing. Texture's nice. Okay, then I'm gonna get black. Black is very aggressive. It's got a lot of pigment per gel, right? It's like they pour it and pour it and pour it to get true black. So you don't need very much of it, and because she will turn everything very, very, very dark very fast. So when we go get our black, just barely touch the tip of it on there and go poke. Because we could get more, right? But can we get less? So we just drop it off behind his eye in little polka dots. Because you're dropping off the paint so we can play with it. Because remember where I land first will be thick. And if I started making my little pokes right away, it'll be like very black in one spot. Okay, now I can pick it up and drop it off. And get like a chateau. It's a little bit darker. Watch, I can even get a little more. So you're not scared. What if you got more black than me? So we just go flick, 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 flick. Won't hurt nothing. And I go, oh no, I got too much black. Because it always happens. And then we can touch just a little bit more gray and tell the black to calm down. Like, oh no, I ruined it again. If you still have black on your paintbrush, you've already put the little texture behind it, just get a little paper towel and give your paintbrush a pinch. Look at it. It's all pointy, really nice and sharp, but clean. And we can even get a little bit of white, because right now it's very dark. But I want dark, medium, light. So I get a little poke of white. And I just go, oh, but I would like little straight. Oh my God, that's 3D. And it's soft, 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 floating on top of the paint. And just kind of, oh, little streaks of super soft. Now look at the texture. Do I have dark pieces, medium pieces, light pieces? Nice. job. Remember, push pause. Because as soon as I say it, I assume you did it at the exact same time as me, because you're not here for me to watch and help. It's tricky to do it in my imagination that you're here. So now we can do our eye, and all we have to do is just, you know, fix the black part, because you know you're going to get feathers in your eye. Just get a little bit of black, fill it in a little bit. So I just get a little tiny poke back. You can even use the just the side, you know, and sneak up to the paint to the edge, and just get, you know, don't stick your paintbrush in the middle. That'll pick up a lot of paint. You just kind of go poke, oh, hello, like that, and then you don't want to drop it on the carpet. Okay, then I just go and land inside his eye and just fixie from inside the eye and push out, fix, and just a little fixie there. That's all. And if it turns a little gray, we'll put in an eyeball in it, right? Just a little. Even if I got it a little bit wet on the outside, look, it looks a softer. Like I can blur the edge, just barely scratch at the black I just put, and make push and make it fuzzier. Oh, because I'm not using any paint. The only paint I'm using is what was left on my paintbrush and inside the eye, and kind of ruin the outside edge of that eye. And the top of the eye is flat because he's giving that look. He's looking down over his eyebrows. You know, bald eagle or teacher look. So now I can clean my paintbrush again. And we don't lick it or anything. We just give it a pinch. You don't need water or anything like that. I never teach with water because it spills. And then it's very, 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 very annoying. So we're going to do his little top lip. And how many color values do we need for 3D? So we have these two colors of yellow. One looks like mustard. I think her name is Yellow Ochre. Can't remember. I don't really remember. But it's just like this one looks like caramel, and this one looks like yellow. I forgot what their names were. Sorry. And then we're gonna use the brightest and go bright and then go dark. Right? Add more dark paint. So we just need a little bit. If it was on a plate, you just poke your paint right in it, like that. So we just stab our yellow, and you're like, stab it? You mean get a whole bunch? Because we're going to outline. And the more paint's on your paintbrush when you do an outline, it makes a very smooth line. So I just go stab. Like that. And then I'm going to try to outline on top of that Sharpie line right there. So I land above it, and my paintbrush goes whoop and opens. But I only stare at that one hair, and I'm going to let it land right on the Sharpie and then push my paint. You know how a bulldozer works? And the bulldozer pushes the sand like I'm a band. Pushes the sand like this, and on either side there's a pile of sand. That's what we're using. Like the side of the paintbrush is going to squish out paint and make a very smooth line. But scribbling will make a furry beak, right? So I'll show you. I'll even hold it closer. So I smash my paintbrush, smash. Now I can see the one hair that's going to, and I go down, sneak, touch the Sharpie and push. I ran out of paint. Look how dry it is. Flip over your paintbrush. You know what? I think I want more yellow. So I'm just going to stab my yellow really hard and load up my paintbrush. Go further back, smash. And I just drove over the same road I just made. There. Now you try it. See if it's true. Let me fix. I didn't cover up the Sharpie. I get it again. Okay, there. Now I have to go down the beak. A little point in the front. Okay, and then see how it's we smash our paintbrush and it's one paintbrush thick, whoop, right? Well, let's, without getting more paint, just smash the paintbrush and push up the paint that you had. The top lip is a little bit white. And then also we have to use a lot of paint on a black canvas because we have to cover up the black. If black shows through, looks like a shadow though. So, and then how did I get it smooth? It's the side of your paintbrush that makes it smooth. If you go straight ahead, the tip, watch, will scratch the paint off. She's a little bit scratchy right? So you kind of tilt your paintbrush. You could be a little bit more horizontal to the canvas and go ooh, and smooth, because the side of the paintbrush is softer than the tip of the paintbrush. Great. Now we're going to get a tiny bit of white, because we just want to, you know, because the beak overlaps the bottom part of the beak. So if we made this a tiny bit brighter on the bottom, just where the little scissor part happens, we can make it a little bit brighter. And my paint is still in my paintbrush, don't care. But I'm going to get a tiny bit of white, a bit. Because that was kind of a lot. But I also touched it from the side, because I want to use all this white paint for my eagle, you know. And I don't want all this yellow in there, so I got it from the edge. Now I'm just going to, remember when we put the little pokes by his eye? We're just going to drop off this white slightly above the line that we made. And then we'll gently smoosh it into the wet yellow paint. So I'm just going to go land, and like wiping off my paintbrush. Yeah, make it brighter. But that looks ridiculous. So then I just use the side of my paintbrush to go smushy, 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 soft with the side of my paintbrush, and just make it slightly brighter. And this is a painting. So how many color values do I need? 3. So any yellow that didn't get any white, that's my dark. Then I smush in the white, and that's medium. And if I have any string of white left, you're just lucky, because 3D. But nobody almost ever does that. They want to keep touching it and try to make it medium. Try to like stop. It's very hard to do. Okay, now we're going to do the rest of the beak. And I got yellow on my paintbrush. I don't care. Because yellow and this caramel color, they're just right next to each other in the color values. So they won't hurt each other. So I'm going to get that caramel color. Sorry, I forgot her name. But we'll just go step. Why did I get so much? For an outline, and we don't even care that there's a thick bead of paint, because that's what makes it so smooth. Watch, I'll go, oh, I got paint on my beak, oh no, I don't care. So I go, and we're going to outline, so we land in our beak and we smash our paintbrush and it opens. But now I can look at the one hair, and I can sneak up closer, and whee, and just wipe it off. And then what about that? Oh, it might show, it might not. I got tricks. So don't worry. Don't worry about his little nostril. Then I'm going to sneak up and try to get rid of this. Oh, I'm already out of paint. Should I cry? No, I just get more of that caramel color and stab my paint. So it's really thick. And then I land in the beak. Smash. Push. Whee. And I'm all about that. No scribbling, right? I just push the paint. And then look at that lump of paint. Oh my God, right? Should I go back and flatten it? Can you see that lump of paint on there? No, that is a nice thick piece of pigment, right? It's a pile of pigment. When it dries, it'll evaporate, and it will just evaporate flat, but leave behind that lump, that pigment. Okay, so you don't have to go back and flatten it. No. And then after we outline, you have some caramel left in your paintbrush, but not a lot. Here's our chance to go and decorate the upper lip with just a, kind of ruin it, or slightly putting some dark in it. And it's going to, wipe off what's left in your paintbrush and make a slight, and I got a version of dark in there. Perfect. I just kind of flick, just wipe it off. And I'm using the side of my paintbrush. Look how flat, almost flat my paintbrush is to my canvas, right? Very flat. Now I'm gonna paint in his beak, and we're gonna go back and smooth it. Let's just get rid of the black. And look at those lumps of paint. I'm just gonna mush them. And then I'm getting black showing through. Better get more. Stab, more caramel. Bye black. And I just go mush. And slow down when we're near any edges. And it looks terrible, right? Because it got lines in it. Remember using the tip of your paintbrush, what's it going to do? Take the paint off. So use the side of your paintbrush. Oh, and I got some yellow in it. I can push the yellow around where they touch. Yep. They make a new color. I'm going to smooth it. Remember, push pause if I go too fast. You're not with me, because I just felt that. You were like, stop going so fast, lady. I'm sorry. Look, now I got stripes. I don't like it. Let me go even softer and float on the top atom of my paint. Ooh, and it starts to dry so fast and feel a little sticky. But we're just trying to, whoa, smooth, soft, barely floating on top. I'm using no pressure at all. Just trying to float on top, float on top. Okay, I get some smoothness now. And how do you learn how to make smooth paint? By kind of ruining it and fixing and fixing and fixing and fixing. But all of a sudden your brain will go, oh, and then you got it. Now we want to make it the top of his beak, you know, because it's shiny. We're going to put a little bit of white near, but not on, the top of his beak. And then we'll use the side of our paintbrush to kind of mush it in a little bit. But I just need a little pearl of paint. But I'm going to do it in that same corner that's a little bit dirty. Get a pearl. Like that. And then a little, like it's a little mocha. And I want it off my paintbrush. I just put it near and I wipe it off like a slide. Whee! And I don't love that, right? That looks ridiculous. But we can, with the side of our paper, smush it in a little bit and make a brighter caramel color. Wee, wee. Using the side, not the tip of your paintbrush, too sharp. Side of our paintbrush, side of our paintbrush. And just let it be one paintbrush big. And then get it closer and close to the edge without touching. And then that looks like a stripe. What? It comes to like a perfect edge on it. That's what happens. Because we're smoothing. And now what's in my paintbrush? This brighter caramel. What if I just go on the bottom of that line and drop off what's left and just kind of ruin the bottom of that line, and the little line will disappear. No, it doesn't. Well, just slightly. It's like because we need a bright part, then a medium part that we're making right now, and then dark will just be the caramel that got nothing. Good job. Okay, and we have a little bit of the white in there, which will help brighten up the, I always point at my lips, but it's the beak, the bottom beak, right? So how do I outline to get, you know, near those edge? I just get my caramel and I stab it. Can I show you? Oops. I show, like, oh, it is darker. So it's just what's left, because it's in the shadow of the top beak. So it's just what's left of my paintbrush, nice and thick, right? And the black will show through a little bit. So I just stab my caramel, because there's already a little bit of white in there. And when I go smushy, smushy, it will come out. But I just need to outline near that line. So I land in the lower beak part, smash, and then sneak down and push my paint. There's paint on the other side of my paintbrush. And try to get rid of the Sharpie. I'm always trying to lay down my paintbrush as flat. It's not a pencil. This is a tool. And I know we've been holding pencils our whole... Oh, I'm going to have to fix that when I do the feathers, huh? Outside the lines. That's why we do the beak first. And I sneak up really close to the next beak. Push. Oh, I get close. One hair at a time. Get closer. Perfect. I snuck that up there. Fixie, fixie. If we do make any mistakes that we hate and we need to fix it with black, black is shiny. I'll show you. The black paint is always shinier. This is called gesso, which is a plaster of Paris mixed with pigment. So it's dull. And look at all these white scratches. It's actually just fingerprints, the skin coming off. It's terrible. But then I had a little goober of black paint right there, and I put black on it. Look, I did a match. So if you want to do a little fixie at the end, after everything's dry, so it doesn't make gray, we can do that. But wait at the very last second, and not very much, just like a touch, because it will be, always have a little sheen to it. Let me touch this one more time. Too much black comes in, just softly, there. And if black shows through, so, right? It's a shadow, a built-in shadow. You can see it on the camera better than you can see it in person. Okay, now we're going to use our, we don't need this caramel on there anymore, so we gotta lick it off. Oh. And I just towel it and give it a pinch, hard, squeeze it, and then my paintbrush is nice and pointy. Never rub our paintbrush like this. Breaks off the hairs at the metal, and it won't lay down flat anymore. So but now I need the teeniest time. This, you see how pointy it is? I don't know if you can see. Look how sharp that is. I could outline the little beak right here using this, but if I put any pressure at all, what happens to my paintbrush? Black. Right, so if I find the teeny, these are the teeniest paintbrushes I could find, right? And I just need a tiny bit of black. And there's a trick that, remember when we went dot, dot, dot by the eye? Is you drop off the paint first, so I'll get black paint, and I'll go black paint, and then I go, should I make a dash? And then I run, at the point, some point I run out of black, so I get another speck, and wee, speck, wee, and I just float on the tip of the paintbrush like the toe of a ballerina. And then after I have this weird dash pattern, then I get one more poke of black and very gently drive my car over the road and push all those dashes together. So those are my words. Now watch with your eye, right? So I get just a speck, it's a beep beep beep, and then I just go softly scratch. I ran out of paint already. See, it's just like an inch, inch and a half. And then another poke. And then where I left off, not way back here, I just, wherever, I'll attach them all together and push. And I'm doing it so soft, I can't even feel it. And then another poke. And then wherever I ran out, not where I don't want it solid black yet, whee, and then I run out again. I'll show you. Looks like dashes. Thick, thin, thick, thin, thick, thin. But now I can drive my little paintbrush across all those dashes, and they'll connect and be perfection, right? So I'll do it closer so you can see. But I just do it very slow and just push my paint. Do not pick up your paintbrush and make a furry. We just push, and look at how they all connect and make like a dirty little caramel color. And then you don't go back and fixie. It will have dark, medium, light. This is a painting, not perfect, not a print, right? So we're fine with it being slightly irregular and bumpy because you're a human, and humans can't make perfectly straight lines, right? It's your parents' fault because they were humans. So we just give it permission to be a painting, right? A painting, which is not painted by a computer. And then we're going to do our little I should have showed you before I paint over the nostril, but the nostril is, too fast. I'm going to clean my paintbrush. I forgot this part. Clean my paintbrush. And then I'm just going to touch the very bottom of that black line and kind of tell it, it'll smoosh into the bottom. It'll just get softer, mixing with the wet caramel color. No paint on my paintbrush. I'm just going to touch the very bottom of it. I'm like underneath it, and I just softly tell it to erase. There. It's like it makes it a little bit blurrier. So the top is more perfectly straight. The bottom is more like a shadow. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We don't care. Okay, and now I'm going to get the nostril. So look at this. It's supposed to be, this is how it's supposed to be. 2 fingers from the top of the beak and 1 finger from the side of the beak. And it's just a little, I can kind of see my silver Sharpie in there as it dries. But it's just like a comma. And it's literally, if you outlined your finger like this, round, right? And you can literally put your comma on there. But look at this one. Did this one work? You thought this one was nice, right? Is it 2 fingers from the top? No. I totally muffed it, right? And then is it 1 finger? Well, that part's right. That part's right, but like too high up. You didn't notice. You don't know where eagle's nose holes are. No one else does either. So we get a little tiny poke of black, poke. Just one little poke, and we're not gonna scribble it in, because every time you pick up your paintbrush and go, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Just one little swipe. So I'm gonna be 2 fingers from the top and 1 finger from the side, and it's just a little the bump of a bee, right? comma. And literally, if I was tracing my fingerprint, it's about as big as a fingerprint. I know I go too fast because you're not here. So you can say it too out loud to the camera. I have to fix that. There. I messed. I wiped. I used the tip of my paintbrush and I scratched the paint off. Look, I went inside the lines on my beak a little bit. I'll fix it later. Oh, now you can't put the black on wet paint. It just kind of makes it gray, and then you won't be happy. So always do any black fixes last, right? Now I get to make the eye. So there's black on my paintbrush. I do not want black on my paintbrush, so I give it a pinch. And the eye is very big. Let me show you. Bigger than you'd think. The hole in the middle of our eye is as big as a fingerprint. It's very big. Then what would be the circle around it? A whole paintbrush swipe around my finger. So the black in your eye is already dry. So put your finger right in the middle. Be like, oh, that's the pupil. So going around, it's going to fill it up. But go ahead and draw the whole circle. And then we'll cut off the top right at the pupil. So don't make a U. It looks like a U, but it's not a U. Okay, so we cut off the top and try to touch that center pupil. See how it turns gray? The black turned gray because there will be white, a little bit of white in that. So we go, okay. So I'm going to get the one that looks more like yellow, not the one that looks like caramel, and just give it a stab of paint. Why? Because I need to pick up a blob of paint so my edges are smooth. And I can literally go like this, put my finger right in the middle, and trace my finger. Just so I can tell myself, oh, I got paint on my finger. So, and look at that, it's terrible. It looks ugly. Right, it's all ratty. But now that I can see how big it's going to be, get more of the yellow. Now, one paintbrush thick, beep, and just go push, super thick paint, super thick paint. And then you're a human. You can't really make circles. So think rainbow, smile, C, letter B. And you just make these little dashes that are the shapes that you know how to do. Circle tends to go, oh shoot, I ruined it. Oh shoot, I ruined it. See if you go the rainbow for the top, the smile for the bottom, the letter C, the letter B. You just kind of like fix it that way. And it's just pure yellow. Ugly, right? Nobody cares. But what if I put a little bit of white on it? So I get a little poke of, because how many color values do you want? 3. So yellow by itself, which will probably be close to the edge, will be dark. But then I put the white in the middle, and it will be like a lighter yellow. So I just get a little pearl from the side, whoop. And I just drop it off. Because, very gently we smush it in, right? Oh no, right? But now I go smoosh, smoosh, and I give it permission to be white to live. Yes, give white permission to live. So there's white pieces, and you can see white pieces, yellow pieces, yellow that got nothing, and we don't even care. And look, it's the brightest thing on the painting, so her eye will show up compared to everything else because it's going to be so much brighter except for the white. Then I clean my paintbrush because I got when I was doing the edge, I put too much mixed with the white and made like a gray. It's supposed to be more black around her eye. I need a speck of black. The shadow next to her eye should be a little bit, where it's bigger at the top. There, I just want to, there. It's one little paintbrush, big around it. Flat, where it's like open, coming to a small point along the edge. And then, scratch at it a little, that rough little edge. Scratch, there. High contrast, the black against the white. And then this is how I do my pupil. I just use my fingertip, because your fingertip's perfectly round and it's just the right size. So you touch your black with your finger and you land right in the middle of the yellow. There. And look, it pushed the yellow away a little bit. Okay, now I can. But he doesn't look mean. He looks like he's looking at us, but he's supposed to be looking straight ahead. Once we cut off the top of the eyeball with the black, just the eyeball, don't make it look longer and everything. It'll help her look more mean. So I just go, oh, I just cut off the top. Whoa. Oh, it got mean because the black touched his pupil. I just went, whew, there. I touched the pupil. Yep. Now he's going, giving the teacher a look. Sweet. And his eyebrow comes down like that. Okay, now I clean my paintbrush. And then what does my painting have? A little white dot. It's a speck of white in the upper corner of the pupil. But the very, very tip of your paintbrush, very small, will work. But you can also use the tiniest paintbrush you have, her stick. And I like to use like the edge of my paint, like little, don't put your paintbrush in here. A big booger. I just want to touch it where it's very thin. Look at the tiny, tiny little speck. And then I just want to touch it one time right on the pupil, but in the upper corner of the pupil. Boop. Get off my paintbrush there. So it's not in the center. It's off to the side. And then, yeah, gotta get that off. He's looking like an eagle now, huh? Looks like an eagle. And then, now that your paint is drying, do you see the black coming through? Do not go back and fix it. Your paint is dry, and you can only blend colors, make new colors, and all that when the paint is wet. So if you start painting over dry paint, it's like painting over the wall. It'll just be painting over a brand new color, and you gotta blend and all that stuff again. And so go, oh, well, black is my shadow. Okay, there's that one. Now you liked my original, right? Look at the black coming through, and you didn't care. But when you go like this from a distance, you're like, oh, I do like it, right? So that's why you're, and as it's drying, you're like, oh no, I can see my brush strokes, because where the paint was thin, right? The clear gel turns clear, or the white gel that the paint floats in turns clear like Elmer's glue, and then you're like, wait, it was better before. It's like, yeah, it's drying. The white gel turns clear. You know that white paint when you go to Home Depot and they open that can of paint and it's white in there, and you're gonna order a brown paint? Well, they put the brown in it, but the white gel is what smears the color on the wall evenly, and then the white will turn clear like Elmer's glue and just leave the pigment. That's why you never fall in love with wet paint, because it won't be that way. Okay, now we get to do our feathers for her head. And they're just little tiny dashes, and all those little shadows that only comes from see-through paint. Wherever I drop off nice thick paint is white, and wherever it's thin will look kind of gray. And it's just the effect of the black background showing up through it. And then where do those come from? Oh, wait till you start painting. You don't do them on purpose. As you're going back, they just fall. They just come out by themselves. Don't do them on purpose. And they all lay down horizontal, like if you were petting the eagle. You know, they all go horizontal, and then they curve down his neck. So we'll use a little bit of white, and we just go poke it. And then when you first land with a glob of paint, it's very white, but running out of paint, that is what looks really good, right? So I'm just gonna go and get rid of that Sharpie that I don't want to look at. Dash, 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 dash. And look, where does that lumps, those little textured lump that's not smooth edge come from? Landing. Right, more paint. Pew, 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 pew. But now I gotta get closer to my beak. So if I don't push hard, I can sneak up around there. Pew, 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 pew. And then this is when it gets good. I'm running out of paint. Look at it's all dry and more interesting to look at. It's called dry brushing when you run out of paint, but there's paint on the other side. Flip. Oh. It's actually the best when it starts to run out of paint. That's how you get the variations of color by using variations of thickness. But then I have no paint on my paintbrush, right? I'm rolling it over, and there's no paint. That little dry amount is perfect to go on the kind of make a layer of fuzz where the white's gonna meet the gray. It's like dry, and I just kind of ruin the edge of it, and I can even blur it with my finger so it's not too thick. There. So I want to paint over my beautiful gray with a stripe of white. Too thick. So I go fuzz, 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 fuzz. And then the pieces of black showing. Do I hate it? No. Except for right there. It looked like he had a hole in his head. Pew, 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 pew. Sound effects are welcome. It's more like play and less fearful. And then, oh, here I am on the edge of my gray. So I'm going to do it now that there's no more paint left on my paintbrush. And I could put, oh, I'm putting on too thick. I'm kind of wiping it off my finger. Too thick. Right, I'm trying to put this dry fuzz near my, my cool gray. Because the texture, we're not painting the eagle. We're not painting. We're not painting a wall nice and soft. No, we're making feathers. So the dryness of our paint helps the illusion. Right? Now I'm going to go and go behind her eye, right here. Right? Behind that little spot. Stab my white. I'm going to go behind it, but I'm not touching it yet. Because I want to get all this paint off my paintbrush. So that now that there's no paint on my paintbrush, I'm going to go and just sneak up to the gray. And so what's the only paint I'm using? Scratching the wet paint that I got and kind of overlapping so it's all fuzzy. And super soft, super soft. Scratch, 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 scratch. So I'm just, when I go flick, I pick up some of that paint that I had laid down. Oh, okay. Look at the good texture. Interesting to look at. Not like solid. And we can outline around our beak, but then after we outline it, we'll still go back and put the texture of feathers. So how do we outline with paint? We land next to the thing we want to paint. Smash, sneak up, let one hair touch it. I'm underneath it, staring at one hair that's making the nice smooth. Oh, did I pick up caramel? All I have to do is wipe it off. So I don't rub the caramel all inside my white. And get more white. Stop! And then now I'm going to, after I outline it, I just paint down, down, pull, 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 pull. Kind of like we were doing over here. Pull it down, change your texture. And your brain can land exactly where you tell it to. It's a built-in skill. So like scratching the paint away. Because you know how it can land our eye on our letter I perfectly? It's already built in. So you like land and scratch and land and scratch and land and scratch. So good. Well, that's a little dark, a little bright. Let's put some of this gray and shadow under his chin, because look at my shadow, right? It just helps have the illusion. It will make it a little shadow 3D. But how much gray do you think that needs? Tennis speck. I drop it off in little pearls. That's too much gray. And there's still a whole bunch on my paintbrush. I just need a little bit. Okay, get this off my paintbrush right now. Too much. Okay, that's all. There. Now, I just needed only a little bit. So I'm going to scratch at it. And I just pull. Oh, yeah. And if you do put too much gray, how do you fix that? Put a little white on it. Calm down, gray. You just yank on it, and then it'll just make it a little bit more shadowy underneath her chin. Nice. There. Okay. Remember, pause me and catch up to me. I know I'm fast. I'm sorry. And am I fast because I'm so good or because I've done this before? Experience is the only thing that teaches on this planet. So I've done this before. So my brain's not asking questions and I'm not concentrating very hard because my brain's like, yeah, I got this. Right? So it's just, it's not me. I've done it before. That's it. Okay, now we get to switch to the big fluffy paintbrush we haven't used before. And she's exactly like this one. Bigger, holds more paint. That's it. And her feathers will just be bigger. And then look how much of them I let black show through. Looks cool texture. What if you cover up yours with more black? It's all good. But the paint falls down from the eye and like falls in this curve pattern way from the beak way and like a little slide, like a roller coaster way, and takes a waterfall like that. So I'll show you. Oh, and the bottom. By the time you're doing this and you get really good at that texture, then you kind of ruin the bottom with the cool little scratches. This little zigzag line's not real. I was just trying to tell you where to, whereabouts to stop. And then they're not, nobody came along and trimmed them with scissors. So they're not perfectly straight. You go long, short, medium, long, short, medium, long, short, right? Kind of ruin it. So it's all ratty on the bottom. I guess they are. Look at, I made them evenly spaced apart. So human of me. Okay. Big giant paintbrush. White paint. Stab your white paint. But we don't care because running out of paint is the trick. But these are just going to be slightly bigger dashes. Dash, 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 dash. And then how do you stick out a little bit when your paintbrush runs out of paint? It just kind of makes these fuzzy edges. It just happens. You'll see. Don't try to make them or they stick out too much, right? I just go dash, 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 dash. There. And now I can go boop. And now I'm gonna show you the direction that the feathers go. So they touch his face and go woo. So they kind of go falling down like that. Falling down like that. But no one would ever put feathers in this Excel spreadsheet way. Look at same exact size, evenly spaced apart. No, we'll ruin it. Get that more texture going. But this is the way that they fall, right? Whoa. Like we're petting her. So we go, oh. So it wouldn't be straight up and down, huh? It'd be like pew, 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 pew. And then now I just start doing with my texture. And as I run out of paint, that's when it's awesome. But how do you learn how much paint to put? I don't know. You just kind of do it. And then your brain goes, wait. No, like this. No, like this. And you're discussing it with yourself. Pew, pew, pew. Now, oh, look at, I'm landing up here and it's super white. Well, just when you run out of paint and there's no paint on your paintbrush, you can come here and put a little dry edge so it doesn't look so perfectly white, right? It's the dry. But the dry paintbrush is a good blender so there isn't harsh starts and stops. Pew, 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 pew. Fall, 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 fall. More paint. This is going to be your favorite part because your brain will start to relax. Because as soon as you figure it out, your brain's like, oh, I got this. I got this, lady. Stop talking. And then, do you have to cover it all up so there's no black showing? Remember, as we put it on thin, you think, oh, I put mine on super thick white. And then it dries. See, the white part turns clear and just leaves a little bit of white powder. And then you're like, I thought I put way more white than that. Pew, pew, pew. And then here's my ratty little bottom. I just don't want to see the Sharpie. Bye, Sharpie. Get out of here. Pew, pew. I like it. I can hear it scratch, scratch, scratch when I start to run out of paint. The best. Pew, pew, pew. Thick, thick, thick. And then I start running out of paint. And that's when I know I'm doing this cool texture thing. Uh-oh. Like, remember the gray? So I have no paint on my paintbrush. It's dry. I'm just going to, with just a dry baby paintbrush, I'm painting over it. But I'm putting it on so thin, it won't really hurt my gray because it's a dry paintbrush. Speck more. There, sneak. When it's running out of paint, that's when I go visit the darkness. When it's running out of paint, it's very dry and thin. Okay, there. Otherwise, there'll be a sharp line right by the gray. We're like, no. Soft fuzzy there. See how the gray still peeks through? And this part you can do at your own leisure. You don't need me talking. I need to jump around a little bit. I can see my rose. I don't like that. So I'm just going to go ding, ding, ding. Just put some randos. So they're rando little pieces of white here and there. Just to break the pattern of my Excel spreadsheet rose I was doing. If I just go and put a few randos, it visually breaks the pattern. So it looks so perfect. And I do it. Look at it. I didn't leave as much black showing through. Look. Weird. Both is good. I wasn't really looking at the sample, but both is nice. But the texture only comes from where the paint is dry and thin. Good job. How do you think you did? So good. You just keep painting if you're not finished yet. Just keep going. Remember, pause whenever you need to. And then you can sign this. I'll go get my Sharpie with a black Sharpie. Because Sharpies are shiny against the flat black. So you can write your name. It will still show in a shiny way when it dries. You can still see it, but it won't take too much attention away from your painting. I'll put 2022 or whatever year it happens to be. And you can't see it, so it doesn't take away from the picture. But when you go like that, you're like, yes, I see it. So cool. Good job. Hey.